Hello, everyone. My name is Ipshita Chaturvedi, and I've been an environmental lawyer for over 13 years now. And I've worked with the public and the private sectors on climate change law, both adaptation and mitigation, and mainstreaming biodiversity in law and policy. Nationally determined contributions, or NDCs, are announced by individual countries to battle climate change. Because countries have different circumstances, resources, and abilities, the Paris Agreement was designed so that each country defines their own pledges in terms of targets and contributions based on their levels of development and historic responsibility towards global warming. These country pledges are the NDCs. Now, while developed countries expect developing countries to have more ambitious targets in their NDCs, developing countries want technology and finance to help them make the transition from current systems to a low carbon economy. Adding to the problem of this deadlock between developed and developed countries is the issue of including what sectors we are looking to address as humanity. While coal is discussed at large in international fora, the same impetus isn't given to oil and gas or agriculture, which remains one of the most carbon intensive sectors. While we place a lot of focus on sustainable production in developing countries, we do not address unsustainable consumption patterns that keep per capita emissions very high, even in countries that have shown remarkable progress and are almost 100% powered by renewable energy. Now, whatever a country announces under their NDCs cannot be questioned by the international community because, under public international law, enforcement of international declarations do not exist in a classical way, as we would in courts inside our own country. Like the content of NDCs, the enforcement of NDCs also, therefore, is a problem which is directly linked with a country's internal processes and their levels of development and attention to law enforcement. This issue goes beyond emissions and applies to all aspects of law and order. Now, I know there are many who advocate for having an international law on ecocide, but before we talk about that, we must ask ourselves the question: how have we fared in enforcing the laws that already exist? And would creating a new law help in the problems that we have on law enforcement in the first place? Now, we know that international law cannot be enforced the way domestic law would. So, what is really that is going to help developing countries enforce a law like ecocide? Most things that have worked in developing countries are economic incentives in the form of taxations or investments in infrastructure projects. A law like ecocide would require regulatory sophistication, which would probably only work in countries that have advanced systems of governance.